Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Supernote Heart of Metal Pen 2 and the LAMY pen and see which one of them actually works better for the Supernote A6X2 Nomad. So before we even go into how these styluses write on the Supernote itself, let's push this off to the side. Let's just talk about the quality of these two pens in the hand and just how they're built and constructed. So for this one, you have definitely some metal here in the cap. This clip here is very, very solid, and I don't think that's going to go anywhere. That seems well made. And the cap itself is pretty big. It's definitely bigger than the Supernote's hard metal pen cap, and that might be a benefit or a downside to some of you. And the feel of taking it out, clipping it in, I don't know if you can really hear that sound, but it's pretty satisfying. It seems to be well constructed and it fits together very nice. And the Heart of Metal Pen 2 definitely feels more metal than this LAMY pen here. There's some metal in the cap, but the body feels pretty plasticky, where this feels like there's metal weighted throughout, and definitely in the cap and the base as well. And there's the sound of it as well here. And again, the clip is made of solid metal here, so I don't really think that's going anywhere. That seems very solid, and I do actually like that this cap is much less clunky. So if you were to like take this, put it on the other end, this is just a huge cap, very in the way, where this one on the end kind of fits in really well, and that does actually balance pretty nicely. And if you were to set this off to the side, just these by itself, this takes up way less space than this does. And then these are the two main styluses next to each other. And again, this is thicker, a little bit chunkier, and even the tip itself is actually chunkier than this tip here. It's not by a lot, but this is definitely a little bit smaller. And yeah, this in the hand feels better quality. And pretty much everything about it just feels a little bit more premium. It does cost a bit more, so that makes sense. So I'm going to give build quality to the Supernote Heart of Metal Pen 2. Alright, so let's get into actually seeing how these compare when writing on the tablet itself. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just how it feels in your hand, and then the fatigue it might give you as well. So we'll start with the LAMY pen first. So it has these grips up front here to help rest your thumbs on it, but I know some people, they like to grab their pens farther back, so then this grip might actually just get in the way, and in fact they might be hitting the button a lot. My dad actually tried this out, and he found himself hitting this button accidentally all the time. So let's just do, this is a test of the LAMY pen. So definitely a little bit mushier feeling when I write with it. I don't know if it actually needs this, but at least subconsciously it makes me feel like I need to apply more pressure when writing with this pen, and that definitely will cause more fatigue in the end. I've had this for almost a week now, and I've been trying it out in many different ways, and I have found that this definitely is hurting my hand more than the Heart of Metal Pen 2. So let's just pull this out quick here. This is a test of the Heart of Metal pen. So even just writing that, I felt like I had to give a little less pressure with this pen, and I definitely felt less exhausted even just in this short little phrase. The LAMY pen definitely seems to require a little bit more work, and I don't know if I like that at all. So when it comes to hand fatigue, I'm going to give the point to the Heart of Metal pen as well, because I do feel like this is going to cause more fatigue in everyone's writing than this pen. So moving along, let's talk about the writing feel of both of these a little bit more in depth and compare that between these. So obviously we said that this one causes a little more fatigue, but is it worth it? Is it just give that much more of a realistic pen feel that it's worth a little bit more fatigue that comes along with that? Well, let's find out. The best way I can describe this pen is like a squishy, kind of mushy gel pen writing on a notepad. That's the kind of feel I get. There's definitely some give in that tip. And it's not just the give that comes with the Supernote screen, because there is a little bit there too. But the tip itself actually has some give and some mushiness to it. So if you like that super mushy gel pen feel, you might like this pen. But let's compare that to how this feels. So this pen definitely feels more like a regular fine point pen on a piece of paper or a notebook. Although it does have a little bit of that slickness still to it. So overall, which one of these actually has a better writing feel? I am going to give it again to the Supernote Heart of Metal pen. I just feel like this is too mushy for me, and it just does not satisfy me when I write on it. Where this writes just like how you expect a pen to write on a piece of paper. And it just works so well, and it's so familiar that I can't get over that feeling. All right, so now let's go over how precise these two tips are. So unlike when I compared this pen to the Apple Pencil, this LAMY pen is not that far away from how small the tip is. It's still pretty close, but you can tell from the build itself, the Supernote nib is still smaller and a little bit more precise than the LAMY pen. Also, the LAMY pen's tip will wear down, and that will make it more imprecise the longer it's in use, where this will stay this fine point pen as long as it doesn't break. So let's switch our stylus to a even smaller 0.1 size. So that's how the Heart of Metal pen writes at this scale here. Here, let's get rid of some of that. Let's see how well the LAMY pen does. Alright, so this is how the LAMY pen looks as well. And it's not that terribly far off. Although you can tell it is still a little bit sloppier in a couple points. Right around here versus that. And the U is a little bit more messed up. The lines weren't as good here, where they're still pretty spot on down here. And some of that is just how I wrote it this time, and it could vary a little bit. But overall, in my testing, I have found the Supernote Heart of Metal pen is more precise than the LAMY pen. So going right off of that, let's talk about how neat your handwriting is with these two different pens. And I'll try to be as consistent as possible, although obviously results will vary. And even just writing that, I can actually feel way more fatigue in my hand after using this pen than after I wrote even longer sentence with this pen. So this is definitely going to be more taxing on your hand. Just warning everyone out there. As far as which one won the handwriting test though, I think I am going to give it to the LAMY pen. Because even though I feel like I had to apply more pressure when I was writing with it, I actually do feel like a lot of the words and the letters came out a little bit neater and a little more refined. Not completely, but I also have noticed when using this pen for like the last week, it actually has made my handwriting a little bit neater in some of my notes. Now, partially that's because with this pen, you can feel like you can go quicker. So then you try to go quicker and you get a little sloppier, where because of the pressure you apply to this, it actually slows your writing down, but also it does produce a neater result. So there's that. So I will give this one to the LAMY pen as its first win. Lastly, I kind of want to go over the special features of both of these styluses and what the benefits of them really are. So for the LAMY pen, it is the button right here that you can click. And I have it set to just be the lasso eraser, but you can also have it the regular lasso tool. So you just make a few marks, and then if you want to erase anything, you click this, you hold it down, boom, boom, and it's done. Instead of having to try to activate the gesture with this. Although the gesture still works. Now, that's kind of what I'm getting at here. It's, yeah, the button is a little convenient until you accidentally hit it while you're writing, which has happened to me. And some other people I've had try this have accidentally hit it many times. Like I was saying earlier, my dad definitely hits it a lot when he was using this pen. Even my wife did a little bit. So I don't feel like this button is that big of a benefit. In fact, some people may just turn this off because it's actually more annoying than anything else. And especially since when you're writing with the other pen, you do easily have the gesture you can enable to do the exact same thing. Or for the lasso tool itself on the screen, boom, and you drag this around. So it doesn't really seem to add a whole lot to me. And I feel like this benefit is a little subpar. And the benefit of this pen is the ceramic never replace tip that Supernote puts on these. And it's a decent benefit. I mean, I've used it for 3 months now, and I've never had to even think about replacing the tip. Where I know if I use my Remarkable this much that I used to own, it would have probably needed to be replaced twice in this amount of time, maybe even more than that. They usually last me about like a month, especially if I wanted a more precise tip. Sometimes I was okay with letting it wear down a little bit more, but if I actually wanted to be precise and write, especially like this pen, I need to replace it monthly, if not more than that. So this is a benefit. Is it a huge benefit? Probably not. I don't think replacing a tip on one of these kinds of pens is actually that big of a deal. They're pretty easy to come out, and they usually include a few in the packaging, and if you look on Amazon, they're pretty cheap to get more of them. So kind of to each their own at that point. I don't find a huge benefit one way or the other, so I'm actually not going to give either one a point for their special features, as I don't see them as reasons to buy or not to buy one of these. So in conclusion, clearly I see the Supernote Heart of Metal Pen 2 as the winner, but that's not to say that this pen isn't there for some people. Some people really like the gel pen feel and the bit mushier feeling, and it does produce a little bit neater handwriting, and I will give it that. So if that's your priority, if you really like how gel pens feel, this might be something worth at least trying. You can find it on Amazon. I'll have it linked below so you can order it, and worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you return it. Where this one, I believe you can only order from Supernote, so it's a little bit harder to return. So you really want to be certain when you get this one. But in my experience, this is the best stylus I've ever used with a Supernote device. And I don't think you'll be disappointed with it. In fact, I think it's still one of the best styluses I've used for any digital device. And I quite enjoy using it, and it definitely feels a bit more premium than this pen even does. So thank you for watching, and comment below if there's anything else you want me to see comparing between these two pens. I don't know if I'm going to hold on to this one for much longer. I actually might be returning it because I really don't like it that much. But if you catch me in the comments quick and you send me something, I might still be able to make another video on it while I still have it. But otherwise, I will at least answer any question you may have on it, and I will definitely make some follow-up videos if need be. And anything else you want to know about this device, just ask it in the comment below, and I will either answer your question directly or I'll actually make a video on it to answer that question. If you're curious about any of the other content I've made with this device, I'm going to have the playlist linked below, and you can check out all the videos I've made on it so far. I've actually compared it to a paper notebook, I compared it to the iPad Pro, and I'm going to be comparing it to the Remarkable 2 in an upcoming video. So be subscribed for that one. I'm going to see which one of these tablets really is the best minimalist digital tablet that we have available right now. As always, if you're curious about what setup I have here and any of my equipment, it's all going to be linked below. Feel free to check that out, and thank you for watching.